We're coming to you from the sidelines of the World Economic Forum being held here in Davos, Switzerland. The theme of the conference is the fourth industrial revolution. Some would say there's a revolution, digital internet revolution going on back home in India as well. The government with its Digital India program is pushing it hard. But what is the infrastructure required for that dream to come true? Well, the one sort of basic thing which is required is telecom access, broadband access. Who better to talk to about this than with the telecom mogul here back home in India? Sunil Mittal, Chairman, Bharti Enterprises, is with me here. Mr. Mittal, thank you very much for your time, sir. Great to have you here.
Pleasure.
What's the reception that Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, the marquee flagship programs of the government are getting here in Davos?
Well, I think overall the mood is around, as you said, the fourth industrial revolution. And I think India is well poised to fully make use of this new digital revolution. Thankfully, we also have a Prime Minister who is a digital native, understands the power of social media, internet, mitigating the absence of physical infrastructure through a digital medium. Is the need to connect every village, every panchayat through a very heavy broadband pipe is laudable, and I think from a larger vision point of view, I think all the pieces are in place. Now, it's also true that we are the cause of fourth industrial revolution. Without a telecom network, the digital story doesn't move forward. But to really have the benefit of true digital society in India, which is the vision of the government, you need robust telecom networks. You need to move to broadband pipes. It'll take a long time to go through fiber and connecting each home and every office and every village. It will eventually happen, but in the meantime, we need to do some interventions through wireless. So I would say the wireless medium, the 3G, 4G now, is fast taking roots into even rural India.
Mm-hmm. What needs to be done to, I don't want to use the word fix it, but kind of sort of push this through very, very hard? Is spectrum the problem? What really needs to be done?
Look, I would say if we have a large question, will everybody be connected? And I've been saying everyone means almost everyone will be connected. The answer is yes, we will do it. There's no question. Our industry is absolutely capable of doing it. We will do it. We already connected most of the country on voice. Everybody will be connected to internet, and that'll happen. The question is, how fast can we do it? Probably with a bit of help from the government, we can do it at half the time than it will normally take. So what do we need from the government? Lots of spectrum. Thankfully, the government is looking at it, but the spectrum is very expensive, especially for a country like India where tariffs are low. Can the government look at some radical ideas?
But why don't we do it? What do you think is stopping? Because
after the mess,
this ties in exactly with what the Prime Minister wants.
I agree, but after the mess we had in 2008, where licenses were cancelled, spectrum was withdrawn, I think people just want to go through a process of an auction, and in the auction, the only thing we would want the government to do is put enough spectrum so the artificial shortage that is created through a process of fraction, issuance of spectrum in auction is taken away. We are killing each other to pick up those small little bites of spectrum. If more spectrum is put up, at least the value will be sensible, it will be transparent, it will comply with the Supreme Court directive, it will be fair to everyone. But we need more spectrum, so that's one.
I mean, do auctions, but put enough spectrum on, right?
You cannot
so the scarcity goes away.
You cannot not do auctions anymore. I think that train has left the station. Although here is an example of China, where China Mobile is called 100 megahertz of spectrum. I mean, unbelievable amount of spectrum. You need to roll out 1 million base stations, cover the whole of China for a digital China. They have done 750,000 in 2 years. They'll complete the million base station, zero charge for the 100 megahertz of spectrum. So that's one way of looking at it.
And there is a section of people who believe that, well, that's the way to go.
I would say that is a very good way to go, because it allows you to then accelerate adjacencies, healthcare programs, e-education.
It's an enabler. It's an enabler for so many other
government
things.
Societal interface.
But you're saying that bus is passed. In India, that bus is passed.
Bus is passed. I mean, I don't think so. Anybody can come and now say, okay, you build 200,000 villages, we'll give you spectrum free. I think that is over now. And we therefore have to live with what is the reality. And if that means more money to be put into spectrum, that's fine. But can the government receive that money? I think while the bus has passed, there's a way to mitigate this. Let's say they receive 100,000 crores. They can say 50,000 crores of this will go towards fiscal deficit, doing other social programs. But 50,000 will plow it back. Put towers for you in the villages, put fiber for you in the villages, ensure that the hard part of the network rollout is done through those programs. In the NDTV program, Mr. Singh already mentioned there's 90,000 crores sitting in the Universal Access Fund. Use that to complement what we are doing or supplement what we are doing, and I think we could probably half the time of connecting the entire country.
So first is enough spectrum, second is investing in hard infrastructure.
In the difficult areas where rewards are not matching the investments, which are deep rural areas.
Yes. Where the government needs to sort of invest
Probably,
at this point in time.
Through the USL funds and all that.
I mean, you talk to the government all the time, and there's a fair bit of optimism because of the digital push as well that the government wants to do and push forward a lot of these things. You think what you're saying is going to be a reality? Enough spectrum and this push towards hard infrastructure in areas where the private sector...
I feel it's happening. If you really look at it, trading, sharing, which was talked for 10 years in the previous government, finally got done. We will have more spectrum coming in the next auction, whether it happens in April or May, that's the only debate. But I think TRAI recommendations are awaited. We will have hopefully...
That's the 700 megahertz.
No, lots of 1800.
1800, sorry. Yes.
2100, 2300.
700 is still up in the air.
700 may or may not come. I personally believe 700 can wait a couple of years. Because if you look at 2300, 6 years have gone. And we have lost 6 years of that paid spectrum because the ecosystem hadn't developed. Similarly, 700 needs another 2 years, but finally it's up to the government of what they want to do. Let's come out quickly with 2100, 2300, 2500 and 1800, which is readily up for take.
Just one point, if 700 does happen, you think that's going to put lots of additional pressure on the industry because that is the most efficient, closest to earth, right? I mean, most efficient spectrum. You think it's going to be troublesome?
No, we'll step up and deal with it. I mean, I don't think so we'll let that opportunity go.
Right. But because it's again going to be a scramble, right? I mean, you'll have to put up money.
No, I think scramble time is gone. Okay. There was a time when people thought they can buy spectrum and they can make money out of it. Right. People are struggling to sell some of the old spectrum now. That bus has also passed, that you can put up 100 base stations, 1000 base stations, get spectrum and sell it at a premium. This is now fundamental, hardcore, difficult business like any other industrial business. So my own view is if 700 is put up for auction, there are only 3 or 4 players left to buy that here. So, but it will put pressure on the finances of the...
So you're saying it should wait at least 2 to 3 years before that? 2 years before that. But in the meanwhile, 1800 and other bands...
2100, 23, 25 can all come.
Are you saying that is... What you're hearing is that will happen in the coming
months? That's part of the whole thing. Whether 700 gets added to this kitty or not, that's the only question.
Okay. And the hard infrastructure bit in areas where the...
So then you come to fiber rollout, we need right of way.
Just give us a perspective. What, I mean, geography wise or population which lives in these areas, which is underpenetrated telecom wise. I mean, what's the size of this that we're talking about, where the government needs to spend money and invest?
I would say the last 100 million.
Okay.
The first 900 will take care. It's the last 100 near the forests in Madhya Pradesh, Himalayas. Okay. Some of the other deep rural areas where there is very little electricity or no electricity, let's say 100 million. So 10% of the areas that we will never reach or will be very difficult to reach.
Okay. I just want to go back to what you said. The government is very cognizant that it wants to, in a way, replace physical infrastructure with digital infrastructure, kind of sort of bypass that. Is that possible? Because India needs jobs, right? About 1 million people enter the workforce. Not everyone finds a job, and now we're talking about this disruption, automation, these new technologies, which essentially reduces the need for labor.
No, my own view is the digitization of the world, of the society, is taking some jobs away, but creating many more jobs. Okay. I mean, let's look at the solution that is being found for people to commute. Okay. The Uberization, the Ola, it's actually added more drivers into the mainstream. I mean, in Delhi, for example, we've gone 10x of the cars that were not available earlier. So people get jobs. E-commerce companies, massive amount of logistic chains are coming through. Warehousing is coming through. Jobs are being created. So I don't think so you will have a situation where people will be able to do everything in the thin air and there will be no movement of goods, there will be no physical transactions, there will be no repair and maintenance.
Okay. It's not a zero-sum game essentially.
No, my view is it will add a lot of momentum.
Fair enough. Something that you said in our session, NDTV session here in Davos about... I'm jumping topics, but what you said is banks need to start lending once again. Lending in the system is not moving. Just talk about that.
There's a mood in the banks, see that, and especially with the Reserve Bank, probably rightly so, coming heavy that we need to deal with the NPAs, we need to call spade a spade, and I think that's only in order. But there are some significant business houses which have stress, especially who are in the infrastructure space, in the commodity space. I think we need to find a middle ground. Nobody can walk away with not fulfilling their obligations, but equally, let's not be so hard. 2016 could well be India's year. this is a time when you need to give some encouragement to entrepreneurs and big business houses to say, let's invest. And I think so you need to have some balance. If some restructuring of loans need to be done to some level.
But do you think enough is being done piecemeal, or we need an out-of-the-box solution to this entire thing to get this moving?
I don't know if India can ever go to as far as bad bank.
Bad bank,
yeah,
yes.
that's always a debate which happens. The world did it.
Yeah.
The European Union
Yes.
created it.
Yes.
US did it.
Yes.
I don't know whether India will want to do it. There's also a perception that some of the business houses have done personally well and not done well in businesses. So there's a bit of an angst around that. My own view is a middle ground needs to be found. People need to pay up their monies, but equally you need to give some oxygen into the stress.
But for
industries.
the corporate sector, do you believe that is the biggest, in a way, that's the biggest challenge?
I think one of the challenges. I wouldn't say that's the only challenge. I mean, in my company, for example, our rate of return on capital is pretty low compared to where we are.
Right.
This year, we'll still put in $4 billion of hard infrastructure. It's the single largest deployment outside China by any mobile company in the world. And of course, Airtel's largest deployment ever, 78,000 base stations just this year.
$4 billion in financial year 17 or this calendar year?
Yeah, 15, 16.
15, 16.
As we are closing March 16.
Okay. Single largest ever by you.
And anywhere in the world outside China.
Outside of China. The budget is around the corner. Mr. Jaitley, on the session, sounded very open about the idea of the government spending a lot more. Do you think that is the need of the hour, even if that means slipping on the fiscal deficit targets right now?
My view has always been, don't be overtly concerned about the fiscal deficit. A little bit of fiscal deficit going out is not a bad idea, so long as the investments are in the right direction, whether it's in the social programs or building infrastructure or supporting the economy in a variety of ways. I always encourage that. The good news is, with oil where it is today, sub $30, the government has got the fiscal space to do a lot more. And that blessing or that gift that we've got, let's say from nature, we should fully use it to implement more projects into India.
Since I've got you here, I have to ask you about Bharti as well. What's happening as far as deleveraging is concerned in Africa?
Our EBITDA is at about $4.5 billion. The net debt is $11 billion. We still have a decent rating. There is no real pressing need for us to deleverage.
Okay.
Our bank loans are very small. Most of them are public bonds now, which are trading very well, which means the market is having a great view about the company. So all in all, there's no real.
Some have speculated, maybe just sort of floating trial balloons, saying that we're going to see an exit out of Africa. Is that?
We have made some strategic exits. We have talked to Orange, as you know, for 4 countries, out of which 2 countries, Sierra Leone and Burkina Faso, may go through because we've signed the definitive agreement. We're waiting for the approvals. That will bring some decent amount of money on the table to repay some debt. We have sold towers worth over $2 billion. That has reduced the debt in Africa. So some deleveraging has already been done. Some restructuring
But
of
there's no
portfolios.
complete exit.
No, in fact, we have bought in Congo Brazzaville.
Yes.
We have bought in Kenya, our competitor. We have bought in Uganda. 3 acquisitions have happened. 2 sales have happened.
A word on the big competitor back home in India, Reliance Jio and the rollout there. How do you see that? What's your perspective?
It's a big competitor. As you said, it is a big competitor. I mean, we can't deny that. And what Reliance does is always with scale and size. And I think we are ready. I mean, it will be a nice welcome from the existing operators to Reliance Jio. They have in 2002 shown that they can add momentum to the growth of the industry. In fact, if you go back in 2002, similar fears were being expressed by many people. The market grew actually, and I think I have always said this to Mukesh. His entry will accelerate the 4G ecosystem. More devices will come in. We will have more people, and there's a network effect. More people have 4G, more people will have 4G.
Yes.
Device prices will come down. Yes. So we wholeheartedly welcome him. And you must understand, Bharti has been an outcome of a very fiercely competitive market. We have fought with the best and the brightest, Vodafone, Hutch in the past, yes. AT&T in the past.
Yes.
It is by no coincidence that Airtel has been able to keep his leadership for the last 21 years intact, and we hope that we'll be able to defend the turf, but equally I wish Jio very well.
Wonderful note to end the interview, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Mittal, for being here. Thanks indeed.